Soon afterwards, some men who studied stars came from the east to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the baby born to be King of the Jews? We saw his star when it came up in the east, and we have come to worship him." The word worship there shouldn't mean that they thought that he was God. It was just a way to say reverence and respect and to pay their respects. Because they would worship, others the term worship is just pay their respects. Then King Herod heard about this. When King Herod heard about this, he was very upset. And so was everyone else in Jerusalem. One of the reasons why he was upset is that he was an Idumean. He was not actually Jewish. He married a woman who was Jewish to try to say, "See, I'm married to a Jewish person, so that makes me Jewish, doesn't it?" Because in Deuteronomy 17:15 it says no foreigner is supposed to be king in Israel. So it was a little like a touchy thing there that he was some people thought he was an illegitimate king, not the real king of the Jews. And so he gets pretty touchy when it comes to his kingship. So when King Herod heard about this, he was very upset, and so was everyone else in Jerusalem. He called together all the chief priests and the teachers of the law and asked them, "Where will the Messiah be born?" "In the town of Bethlehem in Judea," they answered, "for this is what the prophet wrote." And so they recite to him, "Bethlehem in the land of Judah, you are by no means the least of the leading cities of Judah, for from you will come a leader who will guide my people Israel." So Herod called the visitors from the east to a secret meeting and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem with these instructions: "Go and make a careful search for the child, and when you find him, let me know, so I too may go and pay my respects to him." And we know what that meant. He was going to have him killed. No, cut him off when he's gone, before he makes trouble. Just stop it right now. That's what we know he had in mind because of what happens later. And so they left, and on their way, they saw the same star they had seen in the east. When they saw it, how happy they were. What joy was theirs. It went out ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. Now this is like a mystical story, because to try to find out what underneath the star is quite a task. They went into the house, and when they saw the child with his mother Mary, they knelt down and worshipped him. They paid their respects. They brought out their gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And you heard from the children's story, these are symbolic gifts in church tradition. The gold is that Jesus is a king. The frankincense is that Jesus is a priest. And the myrrh is that Jesus is a sacrifice. So all of these things are kind of it's like a foreshadowing of the life to come. And they presented them to him. Then they returned to their country by another road, since God had warned them in a dream not to go back to Herod. So I want you to hear that. These are men from the east, and could have been Zoroastrian, because in the Zoroastrian faith it talks about someone coming later. But anyway, God spoke to them in a dream not to go back to Herod. And so they went home a different way. And after they had left, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph. So there's the second dream, to Joseph. Joseph is also the dreamer in the Hebrew Scriptures, an interpreter of dreams. And the angel says to him, "Herod will be looking for the child in order to kill him. So get up, take the child and his mother, and escape to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you to leave." So he says, "Run for it. The cat's out of the bag. Herod knows. Hit the road, Jack. Christ is on the lamb." The Lamb of God on the lamb. Joseph got up, took the child and his mother, and left during the night for Egypt. He didn't even wait till morning, where they stayed until Herod died. Got up that very night, headed to Egypt, dodged patrols, got across the border, stayed there. This was done to come true what the Lord had said through the prophet. I called my son out of Egypt. That is an important theme in the scriptures, coming out of Egypt. The beloved of God coming out of Egypt. The Son of God sometimes is being seen as Israel itself coming out of Egypt as a people. But here it's also talking about Jesus as an individual, which is in some ways the embodiment of Israel, the embodiment of the man of God or the person of God as good as they can get it. In other words, he was as faithful can be. And here he is being faithful while he's still a little baby, because already he is embodying truths about the world, even before he's old enough to be able to count or say mom and dad. Verse 18, when Herod realized that the visitors from the east had tricked him, he was furious. He gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its neighborhood who were 2 years old and younger. This is also a shadowing back to the Egyptian Pharaoh who wanted the baby boys killed. So this is kind of like, history repeats itself, doesn't it? These tyrants, they all end up killing people. And they all say that they're for good things, and next thing you know, they're killing babies. This was done in accordance with what he had learned from the visitors about the time when the star had appeared. This is why some scholars think that the Bible is saying that Jesus was about 2 years old, 1 year old. In other words, he'd been, it's a while after the birth. Still, we celebrate it like a couple Sundays after Christmas because we are going through the life of Jesus now. Because Jesus' life is central to me, and I think to all of us who are naming Christ as our Lord, because he is the decisive revelation of God and the way of God for us. So we're going to be talking about Jesus like we always do, because our faith is bound up in the way of Jesus Christ. So even now, this is what the prophet Jeremiah had said, and it came true. A sound is heard in Ramah, the sound of bitter weeping. Rachel is crying for her children. She refuses to be comforted, for they are dead. And after Herod died, and it happens no matter who the king is, whoever the evil king is, even if he kills off all of his rivals, thanks be to God, death still comes. And sure enough, he did push up the daisies. He came to his end one way or the other. Good people and bad people, we all die. Death is like a great, great equalizer. We're all born naked and we all die dead. We start equal and we end equal. After Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Get up, take up the child and his mother and go back to the land of Israel, because those who tried to kill the child are dead." So Joseph got up and took the child and his mother and went back to Israel. But when Joseph heard that Archelaus had succeeded his father Herod as king of Judah, he was afraid to go there. He was given more instructions in a dream. So he went to the province of Galilee and made his home in a town named Nazareth. And so what the prophets had said came true. He will be called a Nazarene. Now that's a stretch to find that scripture. He will be called a Nazarene. It does talk in Isaiah 11:1. There will be a Netzer, which means, and that's as close as we get to Nazarene. So Nazarene and Netzer has two meanings. One is a Nazarene is someone who makes a vow to God and keeps it. Usually it's to abstain from grapes and alcohol and things like that, not to cut your hair. There's vows like that. But also a Netzer, out of a stump that's dead, a new tree grows. And so that's who Jesus is. He's the stump of the old dead house of David, and he's growing up out of it. So, but it also is a tie to this town of Nazareth. So it's all those things kind of come together. All the strands come together in Jesus Christ. Here's some things to learn from this. First of all, I want you to see that God is actually bigger than our religion. God speaks to people who are not a part of our religion. These wise men were not a part of Judaism. God speaks to them in a dream. God speaks to them in the stars. People from other religions are not stupid. We should be careful not to write off foreigners thinking that they know nothing. We could be rejecting God's wise men from the East. Think about about that. Are there not still wise men from the East that aren't a part of our religion? Could there not be? Of course there could be. So let's just remember that God is God over the whole world. And so no one is outside of God's care and concern. And there are wise women and wise men all around the world. And when they come to us, we should treat them right, because they are wise. So we can't just put a little fence around our own church and say we're it, because God is really, really big, bigger than our religion. Second thing to think about is God's solidarity with the poor and the oppressed. Remember when Jesus was born, he was homeless. He was born homeless. Well, maybe they had a home back, but they were away from home. He was essentially on the road. Do you still call that homeless? You say, I got a house in Arkansas, but I'm in Detroit, so I'm on the street. It's homeless, isn't it? So they had no place to stay. There was no room in the inn, so they weren't penniless, but they were homeless, and he was born in a stable and laid in a manger. He was one of the poor. He could have been born to the richest family in the most politically powerful, nation in the world. He could have been born the son of the emperor of Rome, but he wasn't. He was born a nobody in Bethlehem in a back corner in a stable. God associates with the down and out. God associates with the people who don't have power. God really cares about the people that we are most often likely to ignore. God does not ignore them. In fact, God is, and Jesus Christ, as coming as Jesus Christ, as revealing himself through Jesus Christ, is saying, I am one with these nobodies. If we're privileged and safe and powerful, it may be hard to see this. We tend to look at Jesus as King and Lord and Master and Ruler and Lawgiver. But if you're poor and down and out and you read the Gospels, you can look at that and say, he's one of us. A black man from the South said it this way. He said, this is from a spiritual. Poor little Jesus boy, made him be born in a manger. World treated him so mean, treats me mean too. They whipped him and they whipped him down. They whipped that man all over town. Look at how they done my Lord. I was there when they nailed him to the cross. Oh, how it makes me sadder when I think how they nailed him to the cross. I was there when they took him down. Oh, how it makes my spirit tremble when I recall how they took him down. It's this solidarity. It's like for the African American, this is from the African American community, and they're saying, yeah, I get it. I get it. Jesus is one of us. Have you heard about the great black migration that happened in the 1930s and stuff? Why? My wife's family's from Mississippi. Why did they leave? Because Herod was out to kill them. Because Herod was after them. Because Pharaoh was after them. People don't leave their farms and their homes and their families unless they pretty much feel like they have to. Even when things are bad, you usually stay and wait it around for a while because maybe it'll turn. But sometimes it gets so bad, you just say, I gotta go. Now the story I read in my textbooks was that there were jobs up north in Toledo and Detroit, and there were, and they just thought like, oh, I'm just sitting here and I'm gonna go find a job up north. And they were very smart to do that. And yeah, that's certainly, there's something to that. But the big thing was to get out of the South. does say that between 1882 and 1968, Wikipedia, their article, says there were 3,446 blacks who were lynched. Most of those were in the South. There were 1,297 white people who were lynched. That was mostly in the West, hang them up, cattle rustler, that kind of thing. But in the South, it was a way of putting blacks in their place and terrorizing them. The stories are of unspeakable public horror. After the Union Army pulled out of the South and the Ku Klux Klan got going, they tried to put down those uppity blacks, so they accused them of rape, but essentially any black that stood up for what his rights or who he, or tried to make something of himself could be lynched at any time. Any woman could be raped. Any man could be shamed and put down. There's stories of the white men on their horses with their shotguns going up to a black man saying, "Kneel down, bow to us," and he had to do it. This is the kind of oppressive, attacking, you could just be picked up any time. And so they came north. So what I want you to know is that you may not have the refugee experience. If you're Hungarian and you got out during the revolution, you might. But most of us did not. But for the African American, first there was slavery, and then there was lynching. Here's the way it says it from Skip James, a blues man. This is a quote from The Cross and the Lynching Tree by James Cone. I just wanted to give you an idea of refugees in the United States, internal refugees, fleeing from one part of the country to another. Hope in black possibility, in the dream of a new world, had to be carved out of wretched conditions, out of a world where the possibility of violent death was always imminent. African Americans knew what it meant to make the best of a bad situation, to live under a kind of sentence of death, not knowing when their time will come. It may never come, but it may also be any time. "They'll lynch you in a minute," said Skip James. Now, Charlie Patton of Sunflower, Mississippi, agreed and sang about what he saw. He's the bluesman. And it said, "Every day seemed like murder here. Every day seemed like murder here. I'm gonna leave tomorrow. I know you don't want me here." So I want you to know that we're not just talking about Jesus a long time ago. We're talking about immigration today. And it wasn't just lynching. Kenneth Blackman wrote about how also they were re-enslaved through the prison industrial complex. In other words, the Emancipation Proclamation and the thing that set the slaves free had a giant clause in it, which said, "unless charged with a crime." So in other words, you could not put a person in forced labor unless they were a criminal. So what did they do? They criminalized blackness in the South. Basically, if you were walking on the street, you could be arrested. If you didn't have a job, you could be arrested. And when you were arrested, you were made a slave. And when you were made a slave, they made you got into this spiral of debt, and you could maybe never get out. And it's the things that got done. You read Blackman's book, Slavery by Another Name. So I'm saying, just like Jesus had to get out of Bethlehem and get out of there, in the same way, it's been an experience for the African American community. So when you when you go to the store and you look at people who came from the South because of how things were, because Herod and Pharaoh were after them there. So think about this. How do you treat immigrants knowing that Jesus was once an immigrant? How do you treat immigrants when you remember Jesus said, "Whatever you have done to the least of these, you have done to me"? Next, I want you to remember that God's still speaking. And I'm not just talking about to me, I'm Actually, if you ask it, there's a significant number of people have had pretty serious experiences of God, and you may be one of them. But what I want you to know is that God still speaks and uses dreams, and they may not be obvious dreams like the angel Gabriel coming to you and say, go to Egypt, but they may be dreams that have some common themes in them. John Sanford wrote a book on the inward teachings of Jesus' messages, and he talked about how all of these parables of Jesus could be referring to the integration of ourselves on the inside, not just making peace on the outside, which is also true. And he thinks that we have neglected our own inner peace because we've just been working on world peace, and we haven't even made peace with the Samaritan within, with our own difficulties. So he talks about things like this. Have you ever dreamed of conflict that you were in? Have you ever dreamed of having to run for it? Have you ever dreamed of being in water or being naked? Not sexually naked, just being not wearing clothes. And he says all of those are spiritual meanings. He says all these things are addressing issues that you have to face inside yourself. And he sees God as and I do too, as the deep integrator and of the whole world, of the salvation of everything, big and small. And so not only does God want peace on earth, but God actually wants you to be integrated in your own heart. It's from floor to ceiling and from wall to wall. The salvation of God is like that. It's as small can be, and it's as huge can be. It is not some halfway salvation of a halfway God. It is a full salvation from a full God. And so I want you to know that just as God has the hairs on your head numbered and cares for peace in the whole world, your dreams matter. Sometimes they matter more than others. But the idea of being on a journey, water could mean the journey is, or running the journey can be about that your life is a journey. And when you see water, it could be that God is calling you to address the depths of yourself. Water is a symbol for that. Nakedness often is a symbol for your true self, not the self that has been put on you by others. And so all these are emergent qualities within you. And now I'm going to have to skip the next part of the sermon. Should I? Yeah. Too bad. But we're at time, and so I'll go to the conclusion. I was going to talk more about dreams and about the whole thing of this story of the wise men and how this actually interrogates us and asks questions. Another day. I'm not going anywhere, are you? All right. So here it is. God is reality, always with us. God was with Jesus, and God is with us. Sometimes we get the gifts, and sometimes we have to run. Sometimes we're the king, and sometimes we're the refugee. But the way of Christ is really simple. Pay attention to God. Pay attention to others. Or you could say it, love God and love others, and grow in this. Trust walk this way of Christ, this journey. Christ has walked it, starting at the bottom, not at the top, starting at the bottom. So wherever you are, you can do it. Christ has walked it, you can walk it. God is in love with you. You will be okay. May your 2019 be a beautiful journey of the soul out of Egypt and into your